It's like when you buy your home for the first time or buy your first car, it seems like it's the most impossible task in the world. And then you do it a bunch of times and you're like, all right, I got this now. I mean, it's
All right, legacy builders, welcome back to Your Money, Your Rules, where real people share real strategies that build real legacies. Now, I'm your host, Teresa Villaruz, founder of the Thrive Movement, where we believe that wealth should do more than grow in a bank. It should fund purpose, create freedom, and build community. And we're here to help people who are overlooked and underestimated finally break free from the hustle to survive cycle by teaching them how to grow wealth in two places at the exact same time through Thrive banking and real estate-backed investments that don't just create passive income, but make an impact in the communities that need it most. Now, this show is about one thing, and that is giving you the tools, the mindset, and connections you need to take control of your money and write your own rules. And today's guest, well, he's a perfect example of what it looks like to create the kind of change at scale. Now, Shawn McArthur wears a lot of hats. He's a realtor, he's an investor, a connector, and a coach. But what stands out most is his heart for helping people win in real estate. He's helped countless investors get their first deal done, especially those who didn't know where to start or thought they didn't have the money to do so. He's built an incredible network, and trust me, he's on a mission that's going to impact tens of thousands of lives, and we'll get into that later. But first, let's welcome our guest. What's up, Shawn? Welcome to the show.
how's it going? I'm super grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm super pumped for all the value that you'll be giving our audience. And what I try to do is I like to start with this question because we all have that moment, right? That one shift that changed how we looked at money or business. So what was that moment for you when you realized, I need to build something bigger. I need to help others step into this too?
Yeah, so for me, it's kind of a two-part answer here. So for me, really, it was when I was transitioning out of the military. We had a lot of downtime just because we were in Germany and Poland right when COVID broke out. So the world, no one knows what's going on. The world's shutting down. We don't know what we're doing. And so I was trying to find stuff to fill time, but also I just didn't have any other avenues besides my military income. And so what I realized was I was investing in the stock market. I was just throwing money anywhere I could. Didn't know where to put it. I did really well in stocks, but I think mostly that was because I was lucky during COVID. And then right when I got back to the States, the market, normalized, and I lost a ton of money and realized I've got to actually be educated in this. I can't just throw money. The stock market's not a lottery machine. I need to actually have a plan for both for me and for my future. My future family, my parents, my brother, be able to have a legacy to be able to help them. Besides just going to work every day, getting that that W-2 paycheck, and then just praying and throwing that money out there, hopefully you get some sort of return.
Yeah, yeah. Love that. Obviously, you need to learn how to flow your money in order for it to grow because just throwing it against the wall, sometimes you can get lucky, but most of the times you can't.
Most of
Right?
the time, not for sure.
Now, you're known for helping people get their first real estate deal done, whether they're agents, investors, or just being curious, right? Can you walk us through your favorite first deal success story and what actually made that possible?
Yeah, so actually, it's relatively recently. We've always been able to help people, one here and one there. So we actually raised money. We partnered with a bunch of people on our real estate team through a Fractional platform. So we actually did two deals almost back to back. But the first one, it was the first. We were for a long time. We've been looking at deals, talking to the team about it. A lot of people who want to invest, they just were nervous to make that first step by themselves. And it's a big risk, but also there's a lot of parts to it. And so they're also trying to do their, sell real estate and learn this and help clients, but also they want to protect, build a legacy for their families. So we finally found this platform with Fractional. We found an amazing deal right on the water at Lake of the Ozarks, 12 units, beautiful. And so I had a couple of people on our team reach out and they're like, what we were able to do with Fractional, a $5,000 minimum, which for most people it's doable. It's not, you don't have to invest 50,000 on your first deal or 100,000. We can do a very small, but they're partners in the deal. They can tell their family, I'm an owner in that. I'm not just an investor. I'm an owner. And I had an agent on our team be like, hey, I'm really sorry. I know it's not much. I can only invest 5,000. And I sat him down and I said, hey man, like one, you've taken the first step, and this $5,000 to you means just as much to me as someone who's giving us, or lending with us $500,000 or partnering us with us $500,000. No, I mean obviously I would love a $500,000 investment. So we could work better together. But to me, I was like, this money matters just as much, and we're going to protect this investment for you just as much. You're just an integral part of this investment as someone who's doing a lot more. And that moment has stood out to me through all of our deals so far.
Yeah, I love that because, obviously someone who has $500,000 is very well educated in how money works and is able to grow their money and reinvest it, right? But the people who are just starting out who probably still have that scarcity mindset, and that's why they're very tight on holding that $5,000, because to them that $5,000 could essentially be, tomorrow's rent, right?
Exactly.
And kind of getting them out of that comfort zone to really trust you or other friends that are helping them invest, and trust them that they're actually doing good for this money. And hopefully that will be the snowball effect that will eventually change the trajectory of their future when it comes to finances.
Exactly. And especially because that first deal, it's different when the money's in the bank. You've got 5,000 in the bank, at any time you can just take it out. But when you invest into real estate or sometimes you don't have access to that immediately, and it makes you really be a steward of your money, and one, make sure you know where you're putting it, but also it makes you really like, I need to get more income. I need to save more because I don't have access to that tomorrow. You're setting yourself up much better than if you left it in a bank account. But for most people, even me on my first one, it was just such a huge, like, it's that very first one that's it's like when you buy your home for the first time or buy your first car, it seems like it's the most impossible task in the world. And then you do it a bunch of times and you're like, all right, I got this now. I mean, it's always a big decision, but you can work through it. It's the same way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, one thing that I admire is your ability to connect with people, with capital, right? You've done that through Fractional. I attended your Zoom there, and really, it's just a wonderful thing to watch. Now, that's a huge barrier for beginners, right? What are the most common mistakes that you see when it comes to finding funding, and how do you guide people through that?
So there's quite a few different mistakes people make. Some of the biggest ones really are know what your skill set is. And what I mean by that is everyone has a superpower. So my skill set is very, very different than yours. Like, we have different skill sets, and that's the awesome thing, that's why I love the Step 2 community and Owners Club is it's all about squatting up and partnering together. So there's amazing people in this community that are great at underwriting and getting the deal and making sure it's positioned perfectly, but they're not very great at raising capital and making those connections. So what we had to do is find out, all right, what's our superpower, what's my superpower, and then you just find the people, find the platform. Like for us, we knew we could bring the people together and raise capital, but we didn't know, we were like, what about the SEC? What about all these guidelines? How do we protect their capital? Are people just going to wire us $5,000 to our bank accounts? That doesn't seem very safe. And so what we did was we found a platform that took a lot of those things off our plate, so we could go and focus on just finding the next deal, bringing people. And then what we really loved about it is we can educate along the way. And that's a big thing, is it's not just, hey, raising money for a great deal. That's awesome. But are you educating people? Are you explaining to them, what does the whole process look like? Not just telling them about their return. Anybody can just see what the return looks like and invest in the stock market, but people really want to invest with people. And so that's what we found, is they want to learn the process. They may never actually want to do it themselves, but they want to know the back end and see if they could, or see if they really want to. And that's been a huge difference for us and how we've been able to raise a lot more money that way.
Oh, that's amazing. You've given a lot of value in just that short amount of time. You said, people should really figure out what their superpower is, what they're really good at, and focus on that versus spreading yourself too thin and like figuring out this and that. Because again, you're big in building communities. When you build your community, you have a support system then there that can fill the gap of areas where you don't have strengths in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. It's so important because everyone thinks they can do everything, and I've tried doing that before. When I first started out, when I was throwing money everywhere, I was like, I'm gonna start an e-com, drop shipping store and a YouTube channel, and I ended up being terrible at all of them, making money and nothing. And I've had to really just tailor down what am I great at? And I could try to do all myself and keep all the money, but that's really a scarcity mindset because you're not enabling someone else to live out their superpower and live what they're great in and shine in their light and be able to build a partnership. And I'd rather partner with someone all day or partner with 10 people and get a bunch more deals done than try to keep them all to myself and do it all on my own and carry it all on my back, because it's a lonely road and it's tough, and like you really dim your light when you do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another thing you also mentioned earlier was that, when you're building this community, right? It's all about community, and it's not just about taking their money and investing it, and then once there's a return, give it back to them. But you're more about, let's build this community as well by, helping them learn more about the process. So it's more of like learn as you earn. Can you tell me more about why did you decide to have that kind of model?
Yeah, so it's one of the biggest reasons we chose using fractional for our first few deals, because a lot of people really want to learn. And so they can either spend $10,000 or $15,000 on education, which I still really do highly recommend. I think there's benefits to that as well. But a lot of times, if that's all your investment money, you're starting back over from scratch, and you have the education, but now you've got $0 to invest in yourself or in anything else. And so what we found with this is we can teach people while their money's also going to work with them, and we're showing them the process and how to do things. I mean, we can always raise a fund tomorrow, and I'm sure at some point we will start a fund and raise money for more accredited people, but it's a very different relationship because it's not really a partnership. It is, but it's like they're investing in the asset, not so much just in us. And so it's awesome because I can, meet the investor, I can show them the property, I can tell them, hey, this is everything happening on the back end, who wants to help me run numbers, who wants to learn this process. Some people are not very involved, and that's 100% okay. But for the ones that want to be, we love helping them learn and earn at the same time. They don't have to be exclusive.
Yeah, no, I love that, because one thing that I heard there is that they're investing in us versus investing in the asset, because relationships really could, that's with relationships, it builds kind of like a long-term wealth versus, or even a legacy versus just investing in asset. And it's all about that next return, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Now you're juggling multiple companies and communities. You mentioned earlier you just finished two projects and fractional, and but obviously with multiple businesses and multiple things, people are thinking like you're all over the place, but they seem to all align with your bigger mission, right? Now, without giving away too much, what's driving you right now at this stage of your business?
Yeah, really, it's just kind of taking things to the next level. I'm really just trying to partner with more people, really trying to get past kind of that very base camp thing of like the grind. I'm trying to get systems in place for everything, so it's not so much me having to do everything. And so, like, while we're doing fix and flips, we can also do multifamily at the same time. We can also help and coach mentor agents. We're trying to make them all seem, kind of integrate together and then build systems in place to kind of take it to the next level. We didn't want to scale too fast, which is why we didn't go immediately to a 300 unit or a 500 unit. We are working that way too, but we really want is a really great base level in all of these things. So that way, when we find that 100 unit tomorrow, everything's in place. We can, put that system right there, get that rolling while we're still keeping our other businesses afloat, which is sometimes what happens. You take your eye off one thing and all of a sudden that plate drops and like that broke and then this broke and that broke. And it's a really dangerous place to be. And I've done that before, and we're really trying to move slower and intentional to grow, steadily over time versus a massive growth that we lose a lot of momentum because we are now too big and things are breaking and, so.
Nice, nice. Yeah. So you're saying that go slower and more intentional versus just going fast and just trying to because that's also going to bring burnout. So
1,000%. That's a big piece of it too.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you're trying to, you already reached base camp and now you're trying to get to the next level. Now, I know a lot of listeners are either, whether they're agents or investors, but a lot of them feel stuck, right? They see others like you scaling and wondering if it's too late or too hard to even get there, or even not just too hard, but especially with the economy right now? Is it like a lot of people are probably thinking, should I invest in real estate when I'm seeing like markets dropping, right? Now, with that said, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start today, even if they feel like they've missed the boat or that the market isn't good?
Yeah, and so the thing is, people every few years, people think they missed the boat. People in 2010 thought they missed the boat. People in 2021 were like, "This is the worst market in the whole world." Turns out it was the best market ever. I actually came in real estate right after that market, so I was right after the best market ever. But what that did, though, on the agent side of things, is all of my competition was used to like just feeding and grazing because it was so easy. I came into it right when rates went from 2% to like 6% overnight. And so that was the only world I knew. And so what it did for me was it enabled me to have that work ethic, and I was able to lap everyone, a lot of other people. Now there's still tons of people that work really hard, but a lot of them gotten a little bit lazier. They didn't have to have their systems in place. They weren't working as hard because things were dropping in their lap. And when that dried up, a lot of them went, "Oh man, what did we do 2 years ago? What do we shift to?" And they eventually got back to it, some of them, but a lot of them didn't. And so it's never too late. The market's never a bad market or a good market. It's just the market we have right now. We can't control it. All we can control is the actions we take, the people we partner with, and when we get in. If you try to time the market, you're never gonna, you're always gonna be like, "Oh, as soon as the market goes down, I'll get in." Well, and then prices go up. Well, as soon as the prices go down, well, then it's a bad economy. So it's just a cycle of always, you're always gonna overthink it, and you just have to get in at some point and find the right people, so that way you know where to invest, you know how to invest. People are always gonna do well. You just gotta find where those people are doing well and do what they're doing.
Yeah, amazing. So, speaking of finding people who are doing it and connecting with them, tell the people how can they plug in with you if they want to learn more, join your community, or get support with their first deal or funding.
Yeah, so probably either Instagram or Facebook. I can point you to our fractional community, at the Shawn McArthur on both of those, on Fractional as well. But I can send you the link to Fractional, and that's where we like to send people. We can help teach you there. Even if you're not ready to invest, it's free, which has been awesome. We really love that because a lot of agents on our team and people want to join the community and just learn. Even if they're not ready to invest yet, they can just kind of learn about it, see what the process looks like, and then, once they're ready, at least it's there. So.
That's amazing. So I'll have all your links, Fractional, Facebook, Instagram, all in the show notes. But true to your money, your rules fashion, we ask our guests to give one tactical homework that they can do today so that they can start their business or scale or whatnot. So Shawn, what homework would you give our audience today?
Yeah, so for me, it would be to plug into a community or mentorship somewhere. It doesn't have to be paid. It doesn't need to be ours. I don't care about that. Just plug into some community somewhere and see what people are doing, see how they're winning. There's always a community or a mentorship or a leader somewhere out there who's winning. Plug into that, stick with it, and that's really my best thing. Is you can feel really lonely when you're on your own, but if you plug yourself into community, you're like, "Oh, people are actually winning out there," and it gives a lot of momentum. You get excited, and you can definitely win in this market, in any market.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're doing, like, I love the saying that if you want to go fast, do it alone, but if you want to go far, do it together. And that's really where mentorship and community is really the game changer into to your success, right?
100%.
Yeah. Now, if you're someone who's been saving, hustling, or just sitting on cash, afraid to make the wrong move, Shawn's community or even the Thrive movement was made for you. It's a movement that lets you grow your money in two places at once. First, inside a tax advantaged life insurance policy, then out in the real estate world through impact-driven deals like the ones that Shawn helps fund. Now, if you're ready to be part of a movement where your dollars don't just grow, they do good, head on to Thrive Banking Strategy and learn how to take control of your future, one deal at a time. Now, Shawn, thank you so much for being here and for everything that you're building and the nuggets that you've dropped on our show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love connecting with you and love being able to help just give back a little bit more to everybody.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And to everyone listening, take control, build legacy, and remember, your money, your rules.